Getting a raise won't fix this. The salary trap keeps people broke at every income level. Here are 6 traps draining bank accounts and exactly how to escape each one. Number 1 is what people call the paycheck prison. 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now. But here's the part that catches most people off guard. This isn't just happening to low earners. About 1 in 5 households making over $150,000 a year are spending 95% of their income on necessities. Think about that. 6 figures, still broke. Picture a hamster wheel. The hamster runs faster and faster, legs pumping harder with every stride. The wheel spins faster too. But no matter how fast that hamster runs, it never actually moves forward. It just gets more exhausted in the exact same spot. That's the salary trap. More effort, more speed, same position. Bank of America looked at millions of accounts and found something wild. The share of people living paycheck to paycheck, earning between $50,000 and $75,000, is only a few percentage points higher than those earning more than $150,000. The income level changes, the broke feeling doesn't. More than 1 in 3 workers say they have little to no money left over for savings after covering monthly expenses, and that number has been climbing since 2022. Nearly 60% of Americans are uncomfortable with their emergency savings level right now. The average American feels they need to earn over $186,000 to live comfortably, and that's more than double what the average full-time worker actually makes. 26% of all households are spending more than 95% of their income just on necessities. Not luxuries, not dining out 5 times a week, basic needs like housing, food, childcare, utilities, and transportation. When that much of every dollar goes to survival mode, there's no room for building wealth. Even though wages rose by 21.4% between 2020 and 2024, personal savings rates dropped by nearly half, from 7.2% down to 4.8%. People are making more money, but saving less of it. So how does someone escape the paycheck prison? Track the real numbers, not what feels like the numbers. Write down actual take-home pay. Write down actual monthly expenses. The gap between those 2 numbers is the only thing that matters. But the paycheck prison is just the surface level, because there's something even more insidious happening behind the scenes, and it starts the moment someone gets good news about their income. Number 2 is the lifestyle inflation trap. When income goes up, spending climbs right alongside it. It happens so gradually most people don't notice until they're stuck. Take Marcus, a software engineer in Austin. At 28, he landed a job paying $85,000 and felt like he'd made it. Upgraded from a studio apartment with a window unit to a 1-bedroom with central air. Bought a used Accord instead of taking the bus. Started eating out twice a week instead of meal prepping everything. 3 years later, Marcus got promoted to senior engineer, and his salary jumped to $135,000. Suddenly, the 1-bedroom felt cramped, so he moved to a 2-bedroom in a nicer neighborhood. The Accord seemed dated next to his co-workers' Teslas, so he leased a Model 3. Eating out twice a week became 4 times, then 5. He added a gym membership, upgraded his phone plan, started subscribing to services he barely used. At 31, Marcus was making nearly 60% more than he did at 28, but he had less money in his account at the end of each month than when he was making $85,000. The lifestyle had inflated perfectly to match the income. He wasn't broke, he was just permanently stretched thin. Here's how the psychology works. The brain gives permission to spend after working hard. I deserve this because I worked 70-hour weeks. Hard work becomes a get-out-of-jail-free card for questionable financial decisions. Then there's something called the Diderot effect. Buy one nice thing and everything else looks shabby. New couch? Suddenly the coffee table looks cheap. Upgrade the table? Now the lamp seems outdated. Before long, the entire living room gets redecorated because of one small purchase. Mental accounting plays a role too. Carefully budgeted salary gets treated one way, but bonuses become fun money, blown on purchases even with outstanding debt sitting there. The brain treats money differently based on its source. So how does someone stop lifestyle inflation? When a raise hits, the move is to automate the difference straight into savings before the brain adjusts spending upward. If take-home goes from $4,000 to $4,500 monthly, set up an automatic transfer of $400 on payday and live on $4,100. The lifestyle won't creep because that money never enters the daily cash flow. Log into the bank account, find the automatic transfer section, set up a recurring transfer from checking to savings for the raise amount, and schedule it for the day after payday. Do this before spending a single dollar of the raise. The second move is the 24-hour rule for any purchase over $100. Add it to the cart, wait a full day, and if it still feels necessary after 24 hours, then consider it. This simple pause stops about 60% of impulse purchases because the dopamine hit fades and the actual need becomes clear. The third move is to set caps on major categories. Housing should never exceed 30% of income. Transportation should never exceed 15%, and those caps stay fixed even as income rises. But the psychological forces driving lifestyle inflation aren't the only invisible force draining bank accounts. Because there's a mathematical reality that most people completely miss when they negotiate that exciting new salary number. Number 3 is the hidden cost reality. A salary is never just a salary. The actual cost to employ someone runs 1.25 to 1.4 times their base pay. So a $50,000 salary really costs the employer $62,500 to $70,000. For employees, this means understanding that gross pay and take-home pay live in completely different universes. Payroll taxes alone take 7.65% for Social Security and Medicare combined, and that's before federal income tax, state income tax, or any other withholdings. Health insurance, retirement contributions, unemployment insurance, all of these chip away at the number on the offer letter. The Bureau of Labor Statistics found that benefits account for about 30% of total compensation costs, and that 30% disappears into benefits infrastructure that doesn't feel like money in hand. Someone negotiates hard for a $75,000 salary and it feels like a win, but then the first paycheck arrives and it's maybe $4,200 after taxes and deductions, instead of the expected $6,250. That $2,050 difference every 2 weeks adds up to over $53,000 a year that never touches the account. The cost of replacing an employee can reach up to 213% of their annual salary, depending on role. Companies know this, but employees often don't, and that's why the system is designed to keep people locked into jobs even when they're underpaid, because the switching costs feel too high. So how does someone work around this? Use a take-home pay calculator before accepting any job offer. Not after, before. Websites like Smart Asset or Paycheck City show exactly what hits the bank account after all deductions. Here's the formula. Take desired monthly take-home pay, multiply it by 1.43, then multiply by 12. That's the minimum gross salary to ask for. Want $5,000 monthly take-home? Ask for at least $85,800 gross. Say monthly expenses are $4,500. That's the minimum take-home needed. Multiply $4,500 by 1.43, and that's $6,435. Then multiply by 12 months, and that's $77,220 gross minimum. Anything less and the math doesn't work. And this calculation should happen before the interview, not after the offer. The second move is to maximize tax-advantaged accounts. Every dollar into a traditional 401k reduces taxable income. Someone in the 22% federal tax bracket who puts $6,000 into a 401k saves $1,320 in federal taxes alone. And that contribution only costs $4,680 in reduced take-home, but deposits $6,000 toward retirement. That's a 28% instant return before any investment growth. Health savings accounts work the same way. Money goes in pre-tax, grows tax-free, and comes out tax-free for medical expenses. And for someone in the 22% federal bracket plus 5% state bracket, Every $1,000 into an HSA saves $270 in taxes. The third move is understanding the real cost of benefits. Health insurance might cost the employer $4,142 per year, but only deduct $1,200 from paychecks. And that looks like free money, but it's not liquid. Can't use it to pay rent, can't use it to build wealth. So factor this in when comparing job offers, because a job with $70,000 salary and full benefits might actually be worth less in spendable income than a job with $75,000 salary and partial benefits. Now people are losing 30% to hidden costs and taxes, and then lifestyle inflation eats another chunk. But there's still another layer to this trap. One that personal finance experts love to push as the solution, except the math doesn't work for most people. Number 4 is the budget myth. The idea that a budget will solve everything is one of the biggest lies in personal finance. And here's why. When 95% of income goes to necessities, there's nothing left to budget. Can't budget money that doesn't exist. More than 1 in 3 workers live paycheck to paycheck, with no money for savings after monthly expenses. And for people living paycheck to paycheck, 40% report they typically have less than $100 available in a savings account. Not $1,000, not $500, less than $100. The 50-30-20 rule gets thrown around constantly. Allocate 50% of income to necessities, 30% to discretionary spending, 20% to savings. But when housing alone takes 40% of take-home pay in most major cities, the math breaks immediately. The conventional wisdom says to cut the daily coffee, pack lunches, cancel streaming services, and for households at $50,000 to $75,000 in income, cutting $10 a day saves $3,650 a year, which is meaningful money, but it still leaves them in the same paycheck-to-paycheck cycle because the structural costs haven't changed. So what actually works? Forget budgeting small purchases and attack the big 3 instead: housing, transportation, and food. These eat 60 to 70% of take-home pay. A roommate saves $800 a month. That's $9,600 a year. Average rent for a 1-bedroom in a major city runs $1,800, but with a roommate in a 2-bedroom at $2,400 total, that's $1,200 per person. Savings of $600 monthly or $7,200 yearly. For transportation, the average new car payment is $716. Insurance adds $150, gas adds $200, maintenance adds $100, so the total is $1,166 monthly. But a paid-off, reliable car costs $350 monthly for insurance, gas, and maintenance. Savings of $816 monthly or $9,792 yearly. For food, eating out for lunch 5 days a week at $15 per meal costs $300 monthly. But meal prepping the same lunches costs $100 in groceries. Savings of $200 monthly or $2,400 yearly. Stack those 3 together, and someone at median income just freed up $19,392 annually. That's not cutting coffee. That's restructuring the big costs. And then build savings in stages that feel achievable. Stage 1 is $500 for immediate emergencies. Not $10,000, just $500. And at $200 monthly savings from cutting lunch costs alone, that's 2.5 months. Stage 2 is $1,000 for car repairs or medical copays, another 2.5 months. Stage 3 is 1 month of expenses. And if expenses are $3,500 monthly, this takes about 18 months at $200 monthly savings. Each stage unlocks before moving to the next, which makes it feel achievable instead of overwhelming. And honestly, the budget myth is comforting to a lot of people because it lets them believe that if they're struggling, it's because they're not disciplined enough. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is something way more uncomfortable to talk about, something that operates in plain sight, but nobody wants to acknowledge. Number 5 is the comparison prison. Social media has turned financial comparison into a full-time psychological assault. Everyone's vacation photos, new cars, home renovations, all visible all the time. and this drives spending in ways previous generations never experienced. A majority of lifestyle inflation stems from status and social comparison, that urge to match what others have. Someone making $75,000 compares themselves to someone making $100,000. And the person making $100,000 compares to someone at $150,000. And it never ends. More than 1 in 3 Americans have a side hustle now, but often these aren't used to build wealth. They're used to fund lifestyle creep. Extra $500 a month from the side hustle? Great. But if spending rises by $500 to match, nothing changes. The comparison game just gets more expensive. About 20% of households earning more than $150,000 a year dedicate more than 95% of their income to necessities, because the necessities scaled with income. Bigger house because coworkers have bigger houses, nicer car because neighbors have nicer cars. And the comparison creates the lifestyle inflation. So how does someone break free from this? Delete social media apps from the phone for 30 days. Not deactivate the accounts, just remove the apps. And this breaks the constant comparison loop. After 30 days, evaluate which apps to reinstall and which to leave off. Then, unfollow anyone who triggers spending urges. That influencer showing designer bags, that friend who posts vacation photos every month. And curate the feed to show only content that aligns with financial goals, not content that triggers comparison. And find a peer group with similar financial goals instead of similar income levels, because the comparison instinct doesn't disappear, but it can be redirected towards saving and investing instead of spending. Now, if the budget myth doesn't work, and social comparison makes everything worse, and higher salaries just lead to higher spending, what actually breaks the cycle? Number 6 is the escape routes that actually work. Most financial advice is built for people with money left over. But for people in the salary trap, different strategies are needed. The first one is calculating the real hourly rate. Think about Rachel, a project manager who spent 5 years thinking her career was on track. She made $92,000, and it sounded impressive when she said it out loud at family gatherings. But she was commuting 90 minutes each way, waking up at 5:30 a.m. to answer emails before leaving, getting home at 7 p.m. and then opening the laptop again to finish what didn't get done. When Rachel actually calculated it, and this took real courage because she didn't want to see the answer, she was working 65 hours a week when all the real time was counted. And that $92,000 came out to $27.20 per hour. Her friend Sarah made $68,000 as a marketing coordinator at a company 10 minutes away, worked exactly 40 hours a week, and never checked email at home. Sarah's real hourly rate was $32.69. Rachel was making less money per hour of life spent, and that realization hurt, because she had turned down a $75,000 offer 2 years earlier, thinking it was a pay cut. It wasn't. It would have been a 25% raise in real hourly terms. To calculate this, add up all hours including commute, work prep, and off-hours email. Then divide annual take-home pay by those hours times 52 weeks. And if the number is lower than expected, something needs to change. The second escape route is strategic job switches. Getting promoted within the same company typically yields 3 to 5% increases, but switching companies can yield 10 to 20% or more. And people who stay at companies longer than 2 years earn 50% less over their lifetimes compared to job hoppers. But that new income needs protection from lifestyle inflation using the automation strategy from number 2. The third escape route is killing the debt anchor. Credit cards averaging 22.8% interest are wealth destroyers. And every dollar of credit card debt costs $1.23 per year just to maintain. So balance transfer cards with 0% interest for 12 to 21 months can stop the bleeding. Divide the balance by the number of promotional months. Pay that amount every month, and the debt disappears before interest kicks in. The fourth escape route is the 1% savings method. Start saving 5% of income. Next month, increase to 6%. Month after, increase to 7%. And keep going up 1% monthly. After 12 months, the savings rate went from 5% to 17%, without feeling like deprivation because the adjustment is so gradual, the lifestyle doesn't feel restricted. The fifth escape route is optimizing the big fixed costs. The average new car payment is over $700 monthly, and keeping a paid-off, reliable car instead of upgrading saves $10,000 to $15,000 annually. And for housing, set a cap at 30% of income maximum regardless of raises. And when income increases, don't increase the housing budget and let the gap grow. The sixth escape route is building skill-based income. Side hustles should build capabilities, not just extract time. And someone working retail might start a resale business on Poshmark, which develops merchandising, photography, and customer service skills that could scale or remain supplemental with minimal time investment. The key is this: wealth isn't built by earning more, it's built by keeping more of what's earned. The salary trap operates at every income level. More than a third of workers live paycheck to paycheck, and 1 in 5 high earners making over $150,000 are in the same situation. The way out is to attack lifestyle inflation by automating savings the same day raises hit. Understand hidden costs by running the numbers before accepting any job. Forget small budget cuts and attack housing, transportation, and food instead. Break the comparison prison by cleaning up social media. Calculate real hourly rates. Switch jobs strategically. Kill high-interest debt with balance transfers. Use the 1% savings method. Optimize big fixed costs. And build skill-based side income. The system is designed to extract every dollar. Breaking the salary trap means playing a different game, one focused on keeping and growing wealth rather than displaying income. Subscribe for more ways to fix broken money systems.